Good morning. Iso Vernon here, Club Ministry Director for the Nevada Utah Conference. Welcome to episode 8 of my Fireside Chats, and today's topic will be portfolios. So, let me start with what is a portfolio and why you need one. So, I have lots of portfolios. I do lots of stuff, and I am a magician, so I have portfolios of the magic tricks I have invented or ones I've been working on, scripts for them, prop designs, stuff. I also have worked many years as a horseman, and I have uh, folders of my lesson plans, outlines, teaching techniques. I made a lot of my own tack, and so I got folders of my designs for tack and how fixing plans and I did a lot of rope stuff made out of rope, so where the knots go, what knots, how to measure them, where they fit on the horse, diagrams, everything, right? I got all that, but also I have, most people have financial portfolios. What kind of investments do you have? You keep all those in a folder somewhere. Um, and then, of course, with Pathfinders, we have portfolios for our leadership studies, for our continuing education and our training in leadership. So most of us will start with a basic staff training, and at basic staff training, we'll take our notes and stuff for our training. We'll put it together to make our first portfolio, and that's our basic staff training portfolio. And some of us may started before that, maybe with TLT nowadays. And of course, you can do your continuing Pathfinder training because once you're done with basic staff and you say, hey, I've done Pathfinders for a year or two and I love being staff, but I want to be a more serious leader, you look at doing what? Master Guide. Um, Maybe you jump straight into Master Guide right from the beginning, right? Um, Master Guide is a 3-year program, and you have 12 workshops you're going to do, so you need to keep track of all the notes. You have a fitness plan in there, a spiritual development plan, leadership improvement, developmental growth. You got all these things, and you're going to keep track of everything you're doing. Your fitness plan, you have your daily record sheet and stuff for what you're doing. That goes in your portfolio, right? Your daily Bible reading checklist of what verses you read every day. Maybe you date them and check them as you go along. That's going to go in your portfolio. Your lecture notes, that's going to go in your portfolio. You teach an honor class during your Master Guide training. You help do sorry, not an honor class. Your levels. You're going to teach a level all the way through, and you probably are going to teach an honor in there too. But you're going to keep all your notes for that. Let's say you teach the friend level. You're going to be teaching several honors part of the friend level. You're going to be working them through their coursework. All your developmental supplies, your anything you make or use, you should keep a copy of in your portfolio. Outlines on how you're doing maybe doing the cat honor for a nature honor, right? Or you're doing, I think, birds as friends. It could be companion, but birds, I believe, as friends. Any resource materials you had for the birds, bird guides. When you have a printed up bird guide you gave the kids, you could put a copy in the portfolio. The instructions on how to use binoculars, you put a copy of that in there. When you do your master guide portfolio, you have you're trying to subfolders. Like, okay, this is everything we had for the birds, which I have in a folder, so I'm going to put it in my master guide folder because it's part of the master guide portfolio. Your master guide portfolio can easily get an inch thick by the time you're done with your master guide class. You're going to keep all of that in there neatly organized. And I do mean neatly organized. I've done some portfolio reviews where it's just all over the place and it's very hard to see what they have and haven't done. Um, and so all your stuff, everything you do, is to be kept in that folder for whatever you're working on. Maybe you're working on an AYMT now, director training or instructor training or drill leader. There's a lot of new AYMTs coming out all the time. I think last count, I think I counted 23 of them. Adventure ones, TLT ones, Pathfinder ones. So much stuff you can study, right? And you're going to do a portfolio for each one. You're going to study each one from 1 to 3 years. Um, so you can develop a collection of portfolios. So here's just a pile of some of the ones I have here. Now, when making your portfolio, I recommend ring binders. Ring binders are some of the better ways of doing it. You can have a sleeve here. You can put, the stuff in it, like a cover page or something. This one's not mine, by the way. It's my son's. So usually I'll slide a sleeve in here. Shows what was being worked on. If there's a checklist, I'll usually put it right inside the front cover in a pocket. But you can use, like a regular folder. This is you got like pockets you can put stuff into. This, you have your checklist in there, and of course your lecture notes will all go in there and everything you did. So make sure you have a good folder or notebook to keep it in. Make sure it has pockets, because a lot of times you'll have loose papers that need to be put in stuff. Rings are good because you can put them on the rings. Sheet protectors, sometimes you can put groups of stuff, pages in sheet protectors or secondary ones. This one's punched for a ring binder, so you can put it in as a subfolder. Like if this was, like I said earlier, the bird honor, you can put everything in and put it in your master guide folder, so it's all neat and organized, right? Sometimes you have photos to do. Now, so all that's going to go in your portfolio. Now, after you got your whole portfolio done and you completed your course, you're going to have a portfolio review. Now, in your portfolio review, every conference does this differently. So really, really check what your conference is doing. I hear a lot, that's not where we did it, where we came from. That's true. It wasn't. But how we do it in our conference is how it is in our conference. If you go to another conference, that's how they do it in their conference. Everywhere in the world, every conference has their way of doing it. Many are very similar, but everybody has their own little flavor. Check with your local conference and make sure you know how they do it. And sometimes it changes from year to year too. Like they're trying something new this year. Maybe you got a new youth director and they want it done a different way because they have their way of doing it. And that's okay. Don't argue with them. Just do it their way, okay? Check with them before you get the portfolio review to make certain you know how they're doing it, and make sure yours is ready to present in a way they're going to want to see it. Our conference, we do a peer review, and basically that means like all my master guides who are being portfolio reviewed will sit down together as a group. Maybe I got 5, 6, 10. Maybe if it's a really big group, I might divide them up a bit. The younger ones, like TLTs, who are working on their master guide, versus the older people. And what they do is they I do a show and tell style and a round table, and everybody shows what they did. And people look at it and they, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I didn't think of that. There's usually a lot of inspiration of everybody seeing what everybody else did. And people, a lot of sharing, a lot of people like, oh, can I take a picture of that? I wish I'd done that. And once everybody's done showing and telling and all the way through, and usually my area coordinator or myself will orchestrate it. We'll go through each of the requirements. People pull out what they did, put them back, and work their way around the table, right? Then what I do is I have my group vote on each other's. So the whole group, everybody in it, votes if they approve everybody else. And so it's complete peer review. All the people doing Master Guide vote if they approve everybody else's Master Guide. Usually it's unanimously yes. Every now and then there's some things where, hey, you didn't do this. And they always hate to vote no, because they always know how hard they work for it. They know how hard they're probably working for it. But everybody in my conference pretty much knows what you got to bring to the table. I had a lady, she brought an entire giant plastic tub of everything she did for one of her AYMTs. It was awesome. It took a little extra time for the show and tell, but man, we were impressed and we all learned something. So that's what we do in our conference. Some conferences, it's a panel which reviews. You got like 3 area coordinators, and they review it. You feel like you're back in college suddenly or something. But that's okay. It doesn't matter how they do it. You got to be prepared to present what you've done for the whole thing. So keep everything very neat in your portfolio. Keep your notes together. Maybe if you have a composition book like this one, maybe you're tearing out pages as you finish. So maybe you got 5 pages for this workshop. Either really label it, maybe I put a thumb tab on the tab on the end of the book, or if you do take them out, paperclip them together, and then hole punch them and put them in your ring binder. Dividing sheets. Sometimes you get those dividing sheets you put in there with the thumb tabs on them. You could label all the workshops so you can turn straight to each one with all their notes individually separated so you don't have to go looking for them. That's always good. Um, so the reviewers can really see them and you can find them again. Because part of the portfolio is not just to prove you did your work, which it does. I mean, that is its first purpose, is to prove you did it. But its second purpose is much longer, and that purpose is to help you be ready when you are that leader presenting stuff in the front of the room. And I know you guys are just starting, like, I'll never be like Mr. Vernon. I'm not giving workshops. You know, those area coordinators, they have so many years under them. I'm never going to be that person. Well, when I was 20, I didn't think I was going to be this person either, okay? I grew into this role year after year of leadership, directing my clubs for over a decade, being an area coordinator for over a decade, leading the conference now for has it been 7 years? I think it's been 7 years. Wow, where does the time go? You grow into this role, and what you learned earlier on will help you later on as you teach and present. So always take your notes, keep them good. But now, I will say when taking notes, it doesn't matter if you do a paper version or a digital version, okay? A few notes though, if you're doing digital notes, typing or recording, make sure you save them on your computer as backup, okay? And if you have a backup, keep a copy there, okay? These things get dropped. People leave them out in the rain, forget them, leave them behind at venues. These notes can get lost easily. It's amazing how many times I've had people come to me and said, I wrote up what I could remember because I lost my phone, which had my notes on it. And you're like, oh, you didn't. When you get home from whatever leadership convention you're at, or training, or presentation, if you recorded notes on a digital device, copy them onto your computer immediately. Just like if you have pictures you care about, you copy them when you get home. Well, you should. Maybe your device is automatically set for syncing with your computer, so those files are automatically copied. Make certain your recordings and your Pathfinder files are part of that syncing. I know a lot of people do their photo syncs, so they don't lose photos anymore, but make certain your recordings or your notes digitally are backed up as well. And not just on your computer. If you have a backup system separate from your computer, make sure those go in there clearly labeled, what year, what event, what workshop. Digital notes, I find a lot of people telling me, oh, I lost them. I wrote what I could from memory. Like, oh. So that's my advice on digital notes. There's nothing wrong with them. Make certain you take care of them, okay? I'd recommend if you type the notes, if you had typed up notes, print them off when you get home and put them in the folder, okay? Because you're going to be doing other stuff for your portfolio. You have homework to do. AYMT you do. You're going to have homework for the year, which you're going to be putting in your folder. So just print up the notes and put them in there too. I have people show up at workshops and say, oh, here's my handouts and stuff I did for my stuff, and here's my notes. And you're like, well, you can't see those notes. That's not cool, okay? Don't be setting your laptop in front of the presenter and say, here's my notes. And I had one lady, she handed me the laptop, and she said, all my notes are in here, all my handouts are in here, everything's in here. What folder should I open? Not a good way of doing it, really. If you're going to do that, make sure that that folder that laptop was already on, those folders are already open and ready to show with everybody, and make sure you have plenty of power and a plug going. Because portfolio reviews can take some time sometimes, and it's not fair to everybody else not to be ready to share that electronically. If you have it all electronically, you have it ready to share immediately. And some presenters won't even accept that. So make sure you print it off, because I might accept it grudgingly, but I might not be the conference minister director next year. Our youth director might not be the youth director next year. You never know what's going to happen. Who's going to get a new job? Who's going to move in? I can get hit by a bus tomorrow, and somebody else replaces me, and they have a different idea how to do it, right? So, print it up, have it ready, um, be prepared, right? Um, so digitally, that's some thoughts on digital. I would recommend if it's an audio recording or video recording that you go back through and take some actual notes of the event. Um, it's good that way because it's easy to look for your notes. I mean, you're talking an hour workshop, and if you have a video or audio recording, to go back through each one and listen for an hour, um, if you're trying to find a particular piece of advice the guy told you, that's a lot of listening. So I'd still do the paper or typing your notes as you go, so that you actually have the highlight spots. And there's a few things why you want to do that. The actual physical action of writing or typing creates a stronger memory in your mind of the event. So when he tells you something about risk management and keeping portfolios, or not portfolios, medical sheets safe because it's personal information on there, the fact that you are actually taking notes about it will lock that in your brain longer than if it was just a recording, which you go back and listen to later. Um, the more, the better the notes, usually the better it locks in your head because you're focused on the details. But just the fact you even took a note on it will lock the memory in better. And pencil notes are different than typed notes, by the way. Different parts of the brain are active for those different kinds of note taking. So maybe depending on what kind of person you are, your best learning styles might also affect. But most studies show that people who actually write by hand have better retention of notes than people who typed it. But there's a few people which are opposite, because we're not all the same, right? Isn't that wonderful? Um, so I don't tell people they have to take notes in a certain way, because you are your way and you need to know your way. And if you've done Master Guide, part of that is understanding yourself and knowing how you learn, right? So I'm going to share with some portfolios here with you guys, so you guys see. Now my portfolio, and I took a picture of it, and I'm going to see if I can put it here on the screen here in post production. Um, is pretty big. It is a filing cabinet now, and my wife has hers in the same filing cabinet. So it's sort of a shared filing drawer filled with folders. Each folder is a different subject or a different workshop or different event. Some of them are just thin, maybe 5, 6 pages are in there, and it's just in there. Some of them are literally just huge things. Okay, it's a filing cabinet. Okay, we have notes, pages and pages of notes. We have handouts, lots of handouts. We try to keep all the handouts people hand out. And then sometimes you write your notes on the handouts. Sometimes you write your notes on separate papers. Some people, they'll do a printout of their PowerPoint, and they do it so that like all the slides are on one side and they have a note spot on the other, so you can put notes with each slide. Those can be pretty useful actually, because you at least know the subject on all of them. If their PowerPoint's clearly labeled, I've had some which are pretty fuzzy, and you're like, oh, well, that was nice. I have no idea what they were talking about now, because I didn't take good enough notes later. Note taking is a skill which you can develop and get better and better at as years go on. Also, we keep in there, of course, the things we make for doing our events. Sometimes we have, uh, if your part of your assignment was putting together and running a Pathfinder Sabbath, you might have your bulletin, your outlines, your spreadsheets of what the kids did. If you did a digital spreadsheet, print it off and put a paper copy in there. So it's all there. And that's another thing. If you're doing a lot of digital work, a lot of us do on our computers and stuff, typing up calendars and spreadsheets and lesson plans. If it's going to go for an AYMT, make sure you save a file, a duplicate copy of it when you're done, to your portfolio folder, which has all your notes and stuff in it. And also, another thing is, once you've written all your handwritten ones, you can go home and scan these too. You could scan them all in and put them in that folder too. So you'd have your physical folder and a digital folder. Your house burns down, you might still have your digital one on a cloud backup somewhere, or if you dropped your folder in the rain after a leadership event, you still have it. And of course, if you computer dies, you didn't have it on a cloud, but you still have your paper backup. So that way you don't lose it. You know, I had people who a lot of refugees we worked with in my home church, and they're like, "Yeah, we had a portfolio. I had to leave it behind when I fled my country." Like, if they'd been on a digital cloud when they got here, they could just signed in and got it. Of course, I don't know. They might not have had digital where they were from, but you never know what the future is going to be. Is the point. And you might not, if you have to leave a burning house or flee a country where you have a dictator running amok, you might not have time to grab, you know, your portfolios, right? You wouldn't have time to grab this stack of everything you've learned, right? You're going to not have time for that. But if it's on a digital cloud, it doesn't matter. You can just log into wherever you end up, and you still have it. Show that you did it. So there's something that said to be scanning them all in, taking pictures of all the pages. You can still prove you did it all. Now, when taking notes and stuff here, I'm going to show some stuff here. So this was a Just Claim It 2012. I think this was in Columbus, Ohio. They gave us these nice little notebooks. So, I don't know if you can see that. There's some writing in there. It's hard to see on that camera. But we used their book and kept all our notes in it. So, my Just Claim It 2012 notebook and my wife's, we have all our notes from that training in the notebook with the name of the training printed on it. So that's pretty cool, right? Sometimes we just have them in a folder. Now, every time I go to an event, I try to take notes and try to take stuff from the event. So, in 20 plus years, I've done a lot of basic staff training. So, okay, here's basic staff training. This one was from, which basic staff is this one? This is basic staff 2013. This was a 2013 basic staff training, and I had already had many basic staffs by 2013, but I still got a checklist of all the workshops I was at, who presented them. Looks like I presented several of these, but I had the stuff. But the workshops I wasn't presenting, notes. Okay? I took as many notes as I could because every time there's a workshop, they're going to say things you might not have known, or things that you may have forgotten and reminding you of. Things change. A lot of these, I got, let's see, these notes are from, these ones are from the workshop for, what is it called again? Risk management. This was the medical risk management child safety issue workshops. That field changes so much, new best practices all the time in child safety. If you are attending a workshop and they're talking child safety and you didn't have a single new note to take, I'm worrying about you, okay? Maybe you're a doctor and you already know a lot of that, but when it comes to that, there's always new stuff, right? New teaching. Yeah, okay, half these are upside down. But they're all in here, right? This is the 2013 basic staff training portfolio for me. I have a pile of basic staff training portfolios. Why? Because all these notes I go back through when I'm teaching basic staff. I like to go back through and see what I learned at different workshops to draw on for my future workshops. And then when I'm teaching workshops, I try to keep copies of what I taught, my outlines, my what I was presenting. Now, okay, some of my least recent ones I didn't even write up new outlines because I taught them so many times. I have them pretty much memorized, but I got years worth of outlines and stuff I've done too. But you should go over those again, see what should be updated and marked in. So you start keeping these, right? Um, let's see, this one here, this portfolio is this is my son's TLT book. He doesn't have a cover page on it. I don't know why, but here's his TLT book. He has some record cards. He has his Ranger card in here. Very good. And of course, he has his notes and his workshop handout and his levels all there for his TLT, right? And here's a good one. This one, I went to a area coordinator training, union level training I went to, right? And they gave me this folder when I got there, so I kept everything from the event in the folder. So I got a notepad full of notes. Hey, look, the first workshop was taught by Glenn Millen. See? Handouts are in here. On some of them, I've handwritten in some notes and stuff, and they're all in here. And I can put this in my folder. Here's another folder. This one's one somebody left behind in an event, and I have not been able to get it back to the person. She was a TLT from one of my clubs in Vegas, and she took note after note. And here, she has all her TLT workshop notes. Oh, I love this. Here. So this is a page from her thing, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's hard to see it. But she's used a highlighter on, it's a light highlighter, so I don't know if it showed up on that video or not. But she highlighted all the important talking points the person had presented. So she kept the papers. She had handwritten notes. I didn't show you the handwritten notes. There. She has handwritten notes on these papers she pulled out and put in here. And highlighted notes out of the person presenting it. So very thorough, right? She'll be missing this folder. I got to take it with to my next event so I can give it back to her because she's in another area from here, or I've just driven it over to her. So very, very nice there. I'm amazed at how good a job the TLTs do at putting together their portfolios and stuff. So, when you're coming as a leader, I'm just going to recap here. Start your portfolio neatly from the start. Make sure you have a folder for it. Make sure you have a place to put all your folders. As time goes on, you get more and more of them. I started with an accordion folder I'd put them in, and then I went to a plastic box, which I added folders to, and now I'm into a fold hanging drawer in a filing cabinet. That's okay. I have a backup drive filled with all sorts of Pathfinder stuff. So as you do your walk, make sure you put it all together, record it all, put all the papers in, what you're going to do for each thing. Keep those notes, because that's your proof that you were there. You want that record card, that cover card. When you show up at a workshop, they're going to have it, and they're going to show it to you. And which one was it? This one. They're going to have this cover page, and you're going to have all your workshops on it, and you're going to, this side, check them off, have them signed, who did them, and you're going to have your corresponding notes. You're going to have those notes you took during those workshops. And you're going to be able to show them, and then you're going to have what you did to finish it. Basic staff training will be your first one you're ever going to do, probably. And you're not going to have any follow-up homework from it. But when you do your next one, you're going to have all your stuff. Mentor notes. Keep your mentor notes. Take notes of your conversations with your mentor and keep them in there, what you learned from it. So, I think that's all I had prepared on portfolios. Build it. Make sure it's very thorough. Keep it safe. And make sure you know how your conference wants it when you bring it back for portfolio review. Contact your conference. Make sure they know that you are ready for review when it's time. And you're going to get your review done. And you're going to get your invested in whichever award you've been working on. and then you'll start another one, because it's a continuous study. We're always learning how to be better leaders. You never stop learning until you die. Okay, a leader who I hear this all the time. I got my master guide 35 years ago, and then I did my PLA the next year, my PIA the year after that, and they haven't taken a workshop since. All you basically did is come up and tell me I am obsolete, out of date, and I'm going to argue with you about everything because everything I know is 30 years out of date. People who come up to me we're always talking about where we learn stuff, what workshops, our last training we went to, and what the presenter was talking about. These people let me know when they're coming up and talking like that they have an open mind. They've been learning. I do have a lot of people that come to me like, well, when I was a kid, this is how we did it. You were a kid 50 years ago. Well, maybe you're 50, 20, 30 years ago. Right? Stuff changes, new ideas happen. Some stuff needs to be brought back because maybe it's been forgotten. Like a lot of our scouting skills, a lot of people have forgotten those. They need brought back. People sort of forgot to emphasize them. Some clubs get too craft heavy. You need to remind them that there's a balance to it, right? But we also need to have the newest, bestest stuff. And you learn those at going to conventions. I go to as many conventions as I can. Yes, I've earned most of the AYMTs I could have. There's a few of the new ones I haven't earned yet. But all the older ones I got. I have my PLA, my PIA. I even have an ALG. But you got to keep studying. Studying is the most important. The people who know the most, who study the most, are the best leaders. They have the ideas, they've read everybody else's ideas, and they are ready to share those ideas. Those are your best leaders. And so preparing for your future in leadership starts with the simple stuff. And you know what? Maybe you're only going to do basic staff and you're never going to be a great leader. That's okay. But at least you put together your portfolio and you can share it with other people in the club, new staff members maybe. You can hey, I've done this. Here's how to do it right. And maybe you're going to grow from there and you're going to be a great leader. You do not know who you're going to be when you are 20 years from now. All right? Only God knows that. So take good notes. Be the best leader you can be today. And God will bless your ministry. And this is from my fireside to your fireside. You know we don't have a fire today. We're just inside my table here with all my papers. There should have been a like button and a subscribe button. If you could like and subscribe to this video, will help. It'll show you other videos I've done. And stay tuned for other videos. And feel free to comment on it and talk about some of your experiences with portfolios. And then also, feel free to point out anything you think I missed, or if you disagree with anything, feel free to post that too, because contrasting views are always good. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Bye now.